Thank you for listening to a nighttime adventure bedtime story from nighttimeadventures.com. Visit our website to view hundreds of exciting bedtime stories for children of all ages.
The Nighttime Adventures of Max, the Big Red Button. Max was a curious young boy who loved to explore and learn new things. His adventurous spirit came alive each night when he fell asleep, as his dreams took him on exciting journeys far and wide. These nighttime escapades not only entertained Max, but they also taught him valuable lessons and allowed his imagination to flourish. One night, Max found himself on a school field trip to an impressive clock factory. The factory was a marvel of gears, cogs, and intricate machinery, where expert craftsmen built beautiful, ornate timepieces that filled the air with a symphony of ticking and chiming. Max's classmates were buzzing with excitement as they eagerly awaited the guided tour of the factory, which promised a fascinating look into the world of clockmaking. Before the tour began, the factory's owner, a wise old man with a long gray beard and twinkling eyes, gathered the children around him. He welcomed them warmly and shared stories of the factory's history, explaining how generations of skilled artisans had passed down their knowledge and techniques. The children listened intently, their curiosity piqued by the old man's captivating tales. However, the old man's voice turned serious as he issued a stern warning to the children: "As we tour the factory, you must promise me one thing: do not, under any circumstances, press the red button marked 'Do Not Touch.' This button controls the flow of time within the factory, and pressing it could have disastrous consequences." Max and his classmates nodded solemnly, understanding the importance of the old man's warning. They followed him through the factory, marveling at the sight of the skilled workers as they expertly assembled the clocks, each one a masterpiece of precision and artistry. Max's eyes were wide with wonder as he took in the scene, captivated by the beauty and complexity of the timepieces. As they continued on their tour, Max noticed in the corner of the factory's break room, an old, faithful dog named Rufus lay peacefully on a soft, worn-out rug. Rufus had been the factory's mascot and companion for many years, providing comfort and affection to the workers during their breaks. His once glossy fur had faded to a dull gray, and his once keen senses had dulled with age, but his love for the people who worked there remained as strong as ever. Following the factory's owner, Max spotted the forbidden red button. It was mounted on a large, brass control panel, and its bold, black lettering seemed to beckon to him, teasing him with the mystery of what might happen if it were pressed. Max's curiosity got the better of him, and as the tour group moved ahead, he hung back, unable to resist the temptation to investigate the button. Heart pounding, Max glanced around to ensure no one was watching, and then, with a trembling finger, he pressed the red button. Almost immediately, the clocks began to spin backward, their hands whirling like tiny tornadoes. The steady tick-tock of the factory was replaced by a chaotic cacophony as time itself seemed to go into reverse. Max watched in astonishment and growing panic as the old man tour guide's gray hair turned brown and his wrinkles disappeared, leaving a younger, more energetic version of himself. Max's teacher, too, began to grow younger, her hair returning to its original color and her face losing its lines. Max looked around, horrified, as his classmates started to transform. Their height and features changed as they regressed in age, their bodies shrinking, their voices growing higher and more childish. Max realized that if he didn't act quickly, his friends would soon become babies, and the consequences would be dire. Max noticed Rufus, who had also begun to change. The dog's gray fur gradually regained its youthful shine, turning into a deep, rich brown. His once cloudy eyes sparkled with clarity and intelligence, and his aging body grew more robust and agile. As Rufus grew younger, his tail wagged energetically, and he sprang to his feet, eager to play and explore. The factory workers, now children themselves, delighted in playing with the rejuvenated Rufus. They threw sticks and balls for him to fetch, and he happily obliged, bounding after the toys with the speed and grace of a much younger dog. Rufus's once creaky joints were now limber and flexible, allowing him to leap and bound with ease. It was as if the years had been erased from his body, returning him to the prime of his life. Max watched Rufus with a mixture of joy and concern, knowing that the happiness of this moment was fleeting. He knew that if he didn't find a way to restore the flow of time, Rufus, like everyone else, would continue to grow younger until he ceased to exist entirely. The thought of losing their beloved factory mascot only strengthened Max's resolve to fix his mistake and set things right. In a moment of inspiration, Max searched the factory floor and spotted a long wooden stick. He grabbed it, praying that he could use it to pry the red button back out and reverse the flow of time. With adrenaline surging through his veins, Max jammed the stick under the button and pulled with all his might. The button stubbornly refused to budge, but Max was determined. He gritted his teeth and strained with all his strength, feeling the button begin to give way. Finally, with a satisfying pop, the red button sprang back out, and time began to flow forward again. The clock's hands slowed their frantic spinning, gradually returning to their normal, rhythmic tick-tock. Max watched with relief as his classmates began to grow older once more, their features and voices transforming back to their proper ages. The old man tour guide's hair turned gray again, and his wrinkles reappeared. Max's teacher regained her adult appearance, her face showing a mix of confusion and relief. As everyone returned to their rightful ages, they looked around, trying to understand what had just happened. Max knew that he was responsible for the bizarre time reversal, but he also knew that he had saved the day. With a mixture of pride and guilt, he decided to confess his actions to the old man and his classmates. Max approached the old man and explained how his curiosity had gotten the better of him, leading him to press the forbidden red button. He also described how he had managed to pry the button back out and restore the flow of time to its proper direction. The old man listened patiently, his eyes narrowing as he considered Max's tale. To Max's surprise, the old man did not scold him. Instead, he placed a hand on Max's shoulder and said, "Curiosity is a powerful force, young man, and it can lead us to both discovery and danger. Today, you learn the consequences of giving into temptation, but you also demonstrated resourcefulness and courage in correcting your mistake. Remember this lesson, and let it guide you in the future." Max nodded, humbled by the old man's wisdom and grateful for his understanding. His classmates, too, were forgiving, and they even praised Max for his quick thinking and bravery. The remainder of the tour went smoothly, and Max and his classmates left the clock factory with a newfound appreciation for the delicate balance of time and the importance of using it wisely. The clock factory started to fade away and Max knew his nighttime adventure was ending. He realized that this adventure taught him some valuable lessons and a better understanding that his actions could have consequences. Max slowly opened his eyes, looking at the clock on the nightstand. He knew it was time to wake up and get ready for school, but the clock reminded him of the adventure he had just gone on in his sleep and he could not wait to tell his friends at school about what happened in the old clock factory.